This is a presentation by Aguti Rubin and Kenneth Kisson. The topic is, what are the differences between objective and essay type of tests? And what are the strengths and weaknesses of essay, multiple choice, and true or false tests? The objective of this topic is, by the end of the presentation, you will be able to state at least two differences between essay type and objective type of test, list two advantages and disadvantages of multiple choice question, or that's true or false question, and essay question. So now let's look at the differences between essay type and objective type tests. When we talk of the basis of objectives, the objective type tests measure achievements, prognosis, diagnosis, research, counseling, and guidance. And when we go to the essay type section, it measures achievement, prognosis, classification, and promotion. On the basis of construction, on the objective type tests, that's this side, it's difficult and time consuming, costly, and need knowledge and training. But the essay is economical and need no training. When we go to the scoring, with the essay type of test, it's simple and easy. The answer key is used. Mastery for the evaluation of a subject is not essential. But when we come to the essay type, it's difficult and complex. Master in subject is required to evaluate a child in such test. Looking at the reliability, the objective section is highly reliable. Various methods are used for estimating the reliability index. But when we come to the essay type, it's less reliable. Reliability index is difficult to estimate. Now let's go to the objectivity of the objective types. The objectives in scoring the answer of the student's personal factor do not influence scoring procedure. But when we come to the essay type test, is the subjective section, scoring section is scoring procedure is highly influenced by personal factors of the evaluator. Now let's continue with the basis of validity of the objective test. The objective test is valid, and then the validity coefficient is estimated by employing various methods. But when we go to the essay type, it's not valid, so the validity coefficient is difficult to obtain. Now let's come to the norm. It's standardized by developing norm, that's the objective side. But when we go to the essay type, it cannot be standardized and it is difficult to develop norms. Guessing factor. In the objective section, item can be attempted correctly by guessing. Guessing formula is used for the correction. And when we go to the essay type, no scope for guessing, but the student can cheat and bluff the examiner. Impact of handwriting. Language and handwriting do not influence scores. Expression and language cannot be measured. But when we come to the essay type, handwriting and language have great influence on scores. Expression, organization of context, and language and measured. So these are the things that the differences we can get from the essay type of objective test and then the essay type. Let's go to the content. On the basis of content, the objective tests cover a higher range because a large number of the terms are included in this test. But when we go to the essay type, poor content coverage is one of the factors. So 5 questions cannot cover the whole content. Let's look at the number of questions. High content coverage because a large number of items like 50 to 100 or more in one test region. That's the objectives. But when we go to the objective test, usually 8 or 10 questions, but 5 questions are to be attempted in these hours. So preparation of students. Students have to study the minute concept thoroughly. But with the essay type, students have to prepare broad and important concepts. Sample paper are used. Let's go to the strength and weakness of essay or multiple choice and true or false test. So when we look at a multiple choice question is a type of questionnaire or survey questions that provide respondents with multiple answers option, sometimes called objective response questions. It requires respondent to select only correct answer from the choice options. But true or false question is also referred to as alternative response question and are used to assess students' ability to determine whether a statement is correct or not correct. Now let's go to the essay. So with the essay, these are test items which require a response composed by the examinee, usually in the form of one or more sentences of a nature that no single response or pattern of response can be listed as correct, and the accuracy and quality of which can be judged subjectively only by one skill or informed in the subject. Now, let's look at the advantages or the strength of multiple choice questions. 1. It's quick and easy to score by hand or electronically and can be written so that they test a wide range of higher order thinking skills. It can cover lots of content areas on a single exams and still be answered in a class period. Now let's look at the disadvantages or the weaknesses. Often tests literacy skills. If the student read the questions carefully, the answer is easy to recognize, even if the student knows little about the subject. Then, when we look at the next disadvantage, it provides unprepared students the opportunity to guess, and with guesses that are right, they get credit for things they don't know. Another disadvantage is expose students to misinformation that can influence subsequent thinking about the context. And then the last one, it takes time and skills to construct, meaning it's difficult to construct it. Now let's look at the true or false question. The true or false, the advantages, we say it can be constructed out of a few words, which make them less dependent on the learner's ability to read carefully. Another one is it takes very little time to be answered. On average, a learner can answer 3 to 4 true or false questions per minute. Assists learners in acquiring and retaining new information. That's another advantage. Let's look at the disadvantage. When we look at the disadvantage of true or false, we say care must be taken as to not make the question too simplistic, and also it is hard to accurately gauge a learner's actual understanding of the material judging by the result of a test composed of true or false questions. Another disadvantage is learners have a 50% chance to guess the correct answer to every individual true or false question. So another disadvantage we can get from this true or false question is a test containing nothing but true or false question has to contain a significant number of items or number of them for the results of the text to be relevant. Now let's look at the essay type. The advantage of essay type is it offers students an opportunity to demonstrate knowledge, skills, and ability in a variety of ways. It can be used to develop students' writing skills, particularly the ability to formulate arguments supported with reason and evidence. Let's look at the disadvantage. It requires extensive time to grade, encourages use of subjective criteria when assessing answers. If used in class, necessitates quick composition without time for planning or revision, which can result in poor quality writing. Now we are going to look at a topic in a networking, that's for SHS 3. That's SHS 3. We are going to look at a topic